death. But when that time came, he bolted, or as former President Trump would say, he choked. His commitment wasn't strong enough. Have you checked your commitment gauge or indicator lately? Let me ask that again. Have you checked your commitment gauge indicator lately? Is the hand or dial, is it closer to 0 than 100%? Peter's commitment was truly real now. That is why Jesus says, follow me. Peter would later be crucified, and tradition says he requested to be hung on the cross upside down. Now, why would he do that? To give reverence to Christ, that he was subservient to Christ. Now, that's tradition now. You might not find it in the Bible, but that's what tradition says, that Peter was crucified upside down. He had them to hang him upside down, not with his head up, but his head down. Now, are there any questions or comments on outline number 2, martyred to glorify? Well, let's look at this. What do you think? Question in the middle of page 48, correct? All right. It says, which spiritual disciplines enable believers to face the inevitability of death with confidence and peace of mind? What spiritual discipline enable believers to face the inevitability? In other words, it's coming eventually, of death. And let me say this. It may not be physical death, because, we live in a country right now where nobody is strung up and nobody is executed because they say they believe in Jesus Christ. That doesn't happen. But that's true in some countries even still. But in America, sometimes you are ostracized, you are criticized, and you're penalized socially and mentally if somebody know you really stand up for Christ. Perhaps that has happened to someone in here. So the question is, what spiritual discipline enable believers to face the inevitability of death with confidence and peace of mind? So if we're not talking about physical death, what about social or your emotional death, so to speak? Somebody really, really hurt your feelings because you stand up for what's right. You don't go along with them in their, quote, mess. They call you holier than thou and these kind of things. So what kind of spiritual discipline that would enable you to withstand that? Okay, all right. Anyone else? Anyone else? Don't you have to be confident? Just like what Sister Collins is saying, you got to be confident in knowing whose you are and who you truly believe in. And you have to be willing to take a stand regardless of what's going to happen to you. I had a discussion with someone, and we came to the conclusion, and it's biblical, it say, sometimes you know what truth is, but in a particular environment when everybody else is supposed to know the same truth you know, it's not time to speak that truth. There's a time to keep silent. See, we have to be in a position, sometimes we have to we have to let God do his work. Sometimes we want to get ahead of God, don't we? We want to fix this thing, so I can fix this thing. But sometimes we make it worse. Okay, Brother Golden.
That's why I have a problem with spiritual leaders, preachers, deacons, being in politics and running for office.
Mm-hmm.
Because it contradicts themselves. And one of the first things they say, I'm for the people.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that's the second thing you say. The first thing you say, I'm for God. But now, when you say I'm for the people, you
True. Mm-hmm.
But the question I would ask is, how can you be a leader in the church and deny God in favor of the people?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
You know what I mean? So it's best not to be a part of something, to compromise the wrong way.
Amen. Amen.
And so as leaders, as Christians, we constantly have to ask ourselves daily, what I'm signing up for, is it going to interfere with my walk with the Lord? See,
Amen.
we have to be very careful. You know what I mean? And today we have a lot of leaders, a lot of ministers running for this and running that. You're more confused than you are anything. You know,
Yeah.
when you're going to be making deals with the devil against everybody.
Right.
And you try to justify it by saying, well, I'm the commissioner, I have to do this.
Right.
As the mayor, I got to do this. Sometimes you can put yourself in a position where you have to make a decision, and 9 times out of 10, the decision is the wrong.
Mm-hmm.
We make excuses for the wrong we do sometimes.
Mm-hmm.
In the position we put ourselves in.
Mm-hmm.
That's why this we should, in all our things, in all our doing, we should put God first.
Amen.
Putting him first, not putting him first, and then I do what I want to do.
Mm-hmm.
Putting him first, you might end up not doing something that you want to do because you put him first.
Mm-hmm.
When you put him first, he has the first word.
And the
When
last.
you want
And
to
the
go
last.
where you want to go, he might say, hey, so you won't just do it where I put him first.
Right.
No, you put him last. You put him last. So you can just put yourself in a position, then blame it on God. When I prayed about it. Yeah, but did you wake up waiting on an answer? No, you didn't want to hear the answer.
Brother Golden, you're speaking truth. In other words, if a Christian person in the politics, if you won't vote for me for my Christian principle, then I'm not going to be in that office. That's basically what you're saying. If you don't vote for me, if you know I'm a Christian person and the values I stand for, if I'm running, those values are going to be out there. If you vote for me, you know what I'm going to do.
But it is your place to run for that office.
Well, a lot of them justified like this, and that's a decision for the individual to make. A lot of them justified this, Brother Golden. They're saying now, I'm going to run for this. I'm going to even tell some people, and I'm not agreeing with what I'm getting ready to tell you now. I'm going to run for this, and I'm going to try to get in this position because I know who is in there now. I know this other person trying to get in there. I know they're a devil. I'm going to tell the folk what they want to hear to get in there, and then when I get in there, I'm going to work hard as I can to make things right. That's how a lot of them justified. But what you were saying, and I agree, if some things are out there that you have to make a decision on and people are going to know you making the decision, it got to be for God. Otherwise, they're going to have to vote me out. They got to vote me out that office. I'm not going to do anything wrong, and I'm not going to project to the people that I'm going to do something wrong. You notice, and that's how politics is a lot. A lot of deals are made in closed rooms, and you give me this, I'm going to give you that, and all of this kind of stuff. No, that's not Christ-like. It happens, but that's not Christ-like. And you made another comment about the church and the world. The world handles business a different way. And the church at times try to get involved with the worldly system of justice. We're supposed to be able to work these things out amongst ourselves. We're not supposed to have to bring in outsiders, but you see that happening a lot. So what is causing that is the worldly influence on the church. And what's going to have effective what's going to kind of cut back on that is people going to have to just stand up, the ones in the church, and say, wait a minute, we can work this out amongst ourselves. We don't need to call some attorney in here because we're trying to vote the pastor out, but he said he ain't going to go. I mean, these things happen. And you hear about them and you read about them. Church get together, going to vote a minister out because of some behavior that he has. It has become known. And he go get an attorney and say, wait a minute now. And he can show where he signed to be the pastor, this and that. And churches struggle. And then some situations where, I mean, the pastor got the keys to the church, and if he don't feel he's wanted to be pastor no more, he locked the church up and won't let nobody in. I mean, I read stuff and I see stuff, but all of this is not supposed to be. All this type of behavior is not pleasing in the eyesight of God. It's not pleasing.
I don't care how large the number is or might be. There's only a faithful people.
But that's what the Bible talks about. That's what the Word talks about.
Looking at numbers and we basing on what we should do and what we should be, looking at numbers. Looking at numbers. But if we were really examine ourselves and be honest with ourselves,
Yeah.
we don't do that.
Amen.
It's only going to be a few. Whatever we do, it's only going to be just a few.
But we can have an influence on others. And there's one of the greatest, right.
I'm not doubting the few. But what I'm saying, when we lose hope and faith,
Because
the majority is not with the few.
yeah.
You know, it's more against the word of God.
Then it's for it.
Yeah. And so
Yeah.
we come to a standstill of what we're going to do. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
I hate to say that.
We have to keep the faith.
I got to say to make my point.
Oh, good.
And then we talked about this, Dr. Now said this to several members. There was a situation when I asked the question right here in Bible study. What are you complaining about? What they did to you over yonder. And what you had over yonder is here with you.
Amen. I remember that. Right.
What you had over there came with you. So what you worried about, what they did.
Mm-hmm.
They did what they do.
That's right.
And what the one that believed and had faith in you did what they do. They went with you.
Mm-hmm.
So what you crying on still with.
Amen. But sometimes that's the human part in us. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.